Hello there everyone, welcome back to the Coaxium Cantina. I'm Benjamin,
I made them.
and in today's episode we're going to be talking about our opinions and your opinions on Kylo Ren versus Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. Now, on my Instagram, at the Coaxium Swammers, if you haven't checked it out already, there is a series going on where you guys are rating the fights of Star Wars from 0 to 10. So we've done pretty much all of the fights from Star Wars and going on for a few more weeks now. And we're basically trying to find the best fight in Star Wars. So I did kind of remember Luke Skywalker from The Last Jedi, the one where Luke projects himself onto the crate. And this was probably one of the most divisive posts that I've ever done on Instagram. And this was interesting to me because I thought it would be one of the most popular bits about The Last Jedi, but we'll get onto my thoughts in a minute. We're going to do our thoughts first, and then depending on how long we've been speaking, we'll get to some of your comments, and we will react. Not really, but we'll review them, I guess. Adam, your opinions.
My opinion of the fight has changed, I'd say, drastically over time. I'd say that obviously when I first saw it in the cinema, however long ago it was, I obviously
17.
loved it. No, Christ, Jesus.
Can you believe that it's 2017 since the last Jedi came out?
That is madness. Yeah, obviously when I was in the cinema, I thought it was incredible, and I thought, well, I mean, to be fair, I still think that the cinematography for it was done incredibly. It was an amazing scene.
100%.
And then, as I started watching it more and more, I felt that from a physical fighting standpoint, there just wasn't a lot there for me. And I think that was one of my biggest issues with it, was because I had obviously such a massive love for both characters.
Yeah.
It was a real shame that it was over so quickly and with such minimal actually clashing of blades.
Yeah.
But then, as of recently, with the context behind it, the scene and the battle in general just has that much deeper meaning, and I think that's definitely changed my perspective of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
However, I still would have liked it if maybe there was a tiny bit more fighting.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have said exactly what you said. I can see that point 100%. You know, it's the final fight of the film, so you want to fight basically.
Yeah.
And my issue with this fight doesn't actually lie with this fight in general. It lies with the fact that the character of Luke Skywalker was wasted up until this point. And I think he should have done something before this point in the film, before he then went on and died.
Yeah. He didn't really have any redemption.
We'll get to your comments in a bit, but it was, a lot of people have said stuff like, oh, it was such a waste of Luke Skywalker. Well, yes, in the sense that he hadn't done anything else and then he just died. But in terms of this fight as on its own, I think is brilliant. I honestly think it's brilliant, because if you look at Luke Skywalker, he is supposed, at this point in his life, he is supposed to be the ultimate Jedi, right?
Mm.
You know, and don't forget, a traditional Jedi is not what we see in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The traditional Jedi is what they say they are in the Clone Wars.
Mm.
Peacekeepers who are just that, peacekeepers. They don't fight, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And that's why I think this fight here is so brilliant. Is because Luke Skywalker doesn't fight him in many ways. Kylo Ren, at the end of the day, is fighting himself.
Yeah.
And that's made clear with the dialogue that Luke has about the Jedi let Palpatine rise and fall. Let Palpatine rise from when the Jedi were in their height, their prime.
Yeah.
So Luke obviously doesn't believe in the ways of the old Jedi in the Clone Wars, which is not what a Jedi was supposed to be anyway.
Yeah.
So Luke does the ultimate Jedi thing, sacrificing himself for the Resistance, and if that wasn't enough, for his own sister. So he sacrifices himself without even fighting, right? And agree with what you said. I 100% agree. There wasn't much fighting, and that's something that I think when you're in the cinema, you want like a massive fight, don't you? You want like an enjoyable, massive spectacle of a fight. So while you're in the cinema, you can see why people might be disappointed with that's the finale of the film, right? But then after watching it multiple times, you kind of start to realize that how this is more a mental fight and a metaphorical fight than anything else.
More symbolic.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, Luke has done the ultimate Jedi thing and sacrificed himself for the innocent. What? The innocent? The good.
Yeah.
And yet he hasn't laid a glove on Kylo. So technically, that action there is the most Jedi action Luke could have done. And also, if Disney were always planning to kill Luke Skywalker off, which I'm gonna guess they were due to how quickly they wanted to get rid of the original cast, then you can't have Luke Skywalker, the greatest Jedi known to man. You can't have him die in lightsaber combat.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Yoda. If Yoda went out in Episode 6 to lightsaber combat, what would that then say as the greatest Jedi of all time? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I'm trying to think of an example now. If the greatest goalkeeper in football of all time got beaten by, a goal, right? You would then kind of think, hold on a minute. Surely if he's the greatest of all time, he might have saved that.
Yeah.
So you've got to actually show that he's the greatest of all time. So if he goes out to lightsaber combat, then it's just a bit like, well, he's not the greatest Jedi of all time, then, is he?
Yeah, no, you had to give him that.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts. Is there anything that you want to add before we get into these comments?
Just like you were saying, how I was saying about the physical side, obviously that's not my standpoint now.
Yeah.
Obviously,
to be fair, that's a valid point. It's a valid point, like right now, because the fact is that there isn't a fight there. I mean, there is.
Yeah.
But there's not a physical fight there. So it's a valid
Yeah.
point, and in fairness, for most of the people that have commented, like, against my point, I can actually see where they're coming from. And this is not a, I just want to clarify this. This is not oh, this guy's comment, let's bully them because their opinion is wrong. This is more of I just want to try and explain to you why, make these people, if one of these comments is you, I just want to kind of explain explain why maybe you're not seeing something that I see.
Yeah.
So this isn't like I'm bullying someone because their opinion is different to mine. This isn't a hate-filled video. It's just this is have you thought about it this way kind of video, right?
Yeah.
All of the clients will be on screen, so I don't have to pronounce your name and mess it up. I mean, I will try, but if I mess it up, they'll all be on screen. So sorry about that. So the first one, we'll go with the first one. This one I pinned because I thought it was, I probably shouldn't have pinned it, a bit biased on me, but I'll read out. This one was from Patrick Murray 34. Solid 10. I love everything about it, even though their lightsabers never meet. One of my favourite scenes in Star Wars, and one of the most meaningful to me. Luke is the perfect example of what a Jedi should be in this scene. That's what I was trying to get at with it would be wrong if he just started to rage war on Kylo Ren after preaching that the Jedi in the prequels didn't do very well.
Yeah.
So that's what I was trying to say, basically. Okay, so after that comment, I kind of replied back saying, that is pretty much the perfect way to do Luke Skywalker. And the reason why he didn't try to reason with Kylo Ren was because Kylo hated him too much to even listen to him. Right? So, if, again, my examples are really crap, but trying to explain this. So if I bought something expensive that you thought was a load of rubbish, and then I tried to give you financial advice, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you wouldn't listen to my financial advice. Or if you listen to a movie reviewer, and this movie reviewer says you are the most terrible, not you are, the film is the most terrible thing they've ever seen. You watch the film, you really enjoy it, you're unlikely to listen to that movie reviewer again.
Yeah.
Because, you think their opinions are wrong. So I think that's why Luke didn't part with the I really am sorry, and please come back to the light. Plus, we've seen it before with Vader. Luke did it before with Vader, and it was a bit original.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about this fight. It's original, and I don't think people like the originality that Ryan Johnson brought. Honestly, I don't think all of the originality that Ryan Johnson brought was good, but I think there was a certain amount that was, people are just not liking the change.
Yeah, people need to be more open in that sense.
Yeah, but I also think that it didn't help that there were 3 different directors for 3 different films. If Ryan Johnson did the whole trilogy, which I would be more than happy to see, and I hope that his trilogy is still happening, then I think, it would be original all throughout the trilogy.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a bit like, it was The Force Awakens, it was too much like A New Hope. And then it was The Last Jedi that was just completely and utterly flipped. completely and utterly flipped.
You needed to emphasise your point.
And I think it was just too much for it. It was like one extreme to the other in like one movie. Hold on a minute. That kind of thing. If it was a gradual, look, this is how this trilogy is going, this is how it's different. Not just a completely, look, this is one movie, and then the other movie was just completely and utterly different. And then if it ends up having episode 9, having yet another director, it would have completely flipped again, and it would have been just a mess of a trilogy. That's why you need one director to direct the entire trilogy. And literally, this is another thing itself, but I think literally the worst mistake that Lucasfilm made with the sequel trilogy was rehiring J.J. Abrams for episode 9. Not because I dislike J.J. Abrams, it's just because he had his own ideas for episode 7, and he's going to revert back to them, even though episode 8 died. But that's another video. So, we get another 10. Oh, God. I'm not even going to pronounce his name. This name's on. Oh, I'm going to have to because it's on a podcast. Gary Zoo _36 Gatsky. Oh, God. That was interesting. GARYZHU _36 GAXD1. Done.
Nailed it.
Least favourite jewel. Luke didn't even try to help them. Instead, he taunted him and was acting like an arsehole. No hate to anyone that does enjoy. Again, that's the kind of thing where you don't listen to someone that you disrespect, kind of thing.
Yeah. At least they acknowledge that that's his opinion.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, again, this is not the purpose of hating on this guy. This is the purpose of maybe someone thinks that way, but they haven't thought about it this way, right? But yeah, that's another case of, look, this hasn't, I don't agree with you, so I'm not going to listen to anything you say, especially if I don't agree with you. Especially if I don't agree with you because you've hurt me in the past, right?
Yeah.
Don't forget, this was the guy, Luke was the guy that literally tried to kill Ben Solo in his sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that part. Another one, Larsing Dash, LARSING Dash. 3 out of 10, pointless, slow, unnecessary slow motion, and since when can Jedi project? This was actually one of them I actually didn't want to cover. Since when can Jedi project themselves somewhere else? Why have we never even heard of this ability before? He makes a good point, in fairness. It is kind of a little bit like, how come the Jedi of the past didn't do this? But at the same time, Luke was on an island for 20 plus years. I said this in my comment back to him. Luke was on an island for 20 plus years. He would have learned some new tricks, right?
Yeah.
Not all the Jedi in the prequels, especially not all the Jedi that we've seen, studied, A, had access to all the Jedi archives, B, studied them massively, or C, even went to the island that Luke was on.
Yeah,
don't
and
forget,
plus that was meant to be like the first Jedi temple or something.
Don't forget, the Jedi texts were actually in Act 2.
Act 2.
Yeah. So probably the Jedi we've seen in film before have never even realised that Jedi texts are there. So there's naturally going to be some information in there that Jedi haven't used before, right? The Jedi haven't seen. And I said this and coming back to him, I kind of said that, well, if you use that excuse, then technically, when Palpatine used like Force Lightning for the first time in Episode 6, you could technically say, why have we never seen this before in Episode 4 and 5? It's kind of like in the same way. However, I kind of do see where he's coming from. He did say that it's kind of like an excuse for the story writer. I'm not sure it's an excuse, because you could say that the Force in general is an excuse for the story writer to do that.
Yeah.
I just think that it makes it a little bit more original.
Yeah.
And then there's the unrealistic thing, which is, in my opinion, a complete yeah.
Plus, we'd never seen Kylo use something like Force Freeze before.
Yeah, exactly.
And then everyone was fine with that.
But when it comes to projecting yourself, then no. Actually, I think we did do this with the Legends Luke Skywalker. Remember when we were doing that episode? And there was that thing in Legends that Luke could still be living, but then die and become on the Force while still be living.
Yeah. So
he could have done that.
Yeah, he could travel through the Force.
He could have done that. There's an explanation there in Legends. So, well, nobody moans about Legends, because why would they? 3ELROND. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. And then, not really a fight, but a cool standoff. I think that's a fair comment to make, personally.
Yeah.
He gave it 6, which I think is a fair score of 6. Again, if you're rating a fight, you want to see a fight. So in the context of this competition, I want to see a fight. So maybe this isn't the best spectacle or the best fight, but it certainly is metaphorical. Also, I just wanted to say that I feel like the reason The Last Jedi is very deep.
Yeah.
It's very metaphorical. And, you can find meaning if you look hard enough. And I'm not saying that all of these people who I've commented on are children. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like Star Wars is aimed a lot at children, right? And children don't. I'm not saying that these people. Just to clarify, I'm not saying that these people don't understand film. They have their own opinions. It's fine. But I'm just saying that a lot of people might not have the depth in knowledge of film to pick up on these meanings, right? And I know that because before I took film studies, I didn't know any of these meanings. I started taking film studies, so I picked up. I mean, even in The Empire Strikes Back, before I took film studies, I didn't really care for The Empire Strikes Back. However, I started taking film studies, realised how they did it, how they created meaning, picked up meaning, and then started to, I now think it's the greatest film ever made.
Yeah.
Yet The Empire Strikes Back still had entertainment, right? And that's, I think, the main issue with The Last Jedi, which we'll come on to when we do our Last Jedi review. I feel like it's too metaphorical for the franchise.
Yeah, there's not enough action.
Empire strikes that balance between metaphorical, meaningful, and everything like that, and action.
I like what you did there.
What did I do there?
Empire Strikes.
I don't get
it. Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes That. No. Okay. I mean, you were the one who said it.
I don't know what I did. I don't even know what I did.
You said Empire Strikes That, and you said something like Balance or something,
Oh yes,
and
yes, yes, yes,
Empire
yes.
Strikes Back.
Okay.
Christ.
I don't remember what I was saying. Yeah, Empire finds that balance. Empire strikes that balance. um, Meaningful yet still entertaining, right? And I just feel like The Last Jedi goes way too meaningful and not enough entertaining. Well, I think elements of it are entertaining. There's not enough. I mean, granted, there's still things wrong with that film, like the entirety of Finn and Rose, whatever they were doing there. But
Oh god, yeah.
the Rey, Kylo Ren, and Luke, but definitely the Kylo Ren and Luke stuff. It had more meaning behind it, which I don't think kids who watch the franchise, and bear in mind, Star Wars is kids' franchise. Well, it's design. George Lucas himself said that, not me. Say that. I feel like kids aren't going to pick up on those meanings that, because because Kylo Ren moves the red soul, that means that Kylo Ren's pure evil, and then Luke doesn't move the red soul. That means there's no evil in him. Kids aren't going to pick up that. In fairness, I didn't pick up that the first time. It's things like that, and it's also things like Kylo Ren's. You also have they call it plot holes. It's not a plot hole because there was actually a reason for it, where Luke uses the lightsaber that Kylo Ren had just destroyed, and Kylo Ren doesn't even notice. Well, that's the way of showing that Kylo Ren is just so rageful and angry that he doesn't notice these things. He's only interested in one thing, and that is killing Luke Skywalker. And I think the way that they shot it is actually Anyway, do you have any thoughts on this?
I think, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's the people are going to have their own opinion.
Oh yeah.
Obviously,
this isn't me telling people that they need to enjoy this because this is like the greatest thing put to cinema. I definitely have my problems with it, but I think people don't see what Rian Johnson is trying to do. And
at the end of the day, people have their preferences, and obviously they can stick to how they think about it. But I think there is a shame, like you said, how sometimes the symbolism and the depth doesn't get picked up on by some people, and that's where the majority of that film came from.
Yeah.
So I think it's a case where if people can see that, then their enjoyment might change and their views might change.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the throne as well, Snoke's throne, where the red starts to burn down, symbolizing that maybe the darkness is falling. That kind of thing, But naturally, kids and people who aren't film savvy aren't gonna pick up on those metaphorical things, right? And if you are film savvy and still hate it, then that's fine. You have your own opinions. I just feel like people need to see what Rian Johnson was trying to do before they say Rian Johnson will Star Wars.
Yeah. You need all the facts before you go off.
Yeah.
Without any.
And I think if he had his own trilogy, which I'm hoping, again, as I said, I'm hoping they don't pull the plug on that. If he had his own trilogy, it would be so good. I think.
And the shots were so cinematic. They looked amazing.
I've literally got what you call them? Shots on my wall, printed out shots on my wall. A lot of them from Last Jedi. I love it. I love the cinema. But that's for the Last Jedi review. So stick around for that if you want to see that. I think Revenge of the Sith is next. That should have been this one, but we skipped it. No, we didn't skip it. It's coming, but we needed to do this first. So yeah, let us know your opinions on this if you haven't already. Interesting to know. Yeah, we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.